in what is going to be game number 2 of VTI Dynasty, going to be taking on Trademark Esports, of course. So we jumped in late to game number 1 there due to the previous series going a little bit longer. But Trademark Esports, they looked very comfortable when we joined the game, and they finished very strong. But Dynasty, man, they did show some positive signs of life there. So,
like I said, they showed great team support and great team synergy. Obviously, we did jump into the game late, so we didn't get to see how it really worked out. But, you know, tdM picking up that Demented Shaman plus Zephyr combination.
Yeah.
Time and, it's very true and strong.
We're going to see a lot of that.
We're going to see a lot of it. We already see 2 games of it with just complexity drafting it in both games. So, just a sign of things to come here.
Well, yeah, again, so we got joined up late, so let's go ahead and take a quick look at the teams here as far as who we're dealing with. So we'll start with Trademark Esports. So for Trademark Esports, going down the list, you know, we have, of course, MyNuts, Insania, Limp, Zai, and NoobG. So Trademark Esports by now, if you follow Competitive Han, you follow Honcast, you definitely know who these guys are. Definitely one of the better teams out there, and even a favorite, I'm sure, in a lot of people's minds to do very well at this event. So Trademark Esports, off to a great start here. Of course, this is their first series, and, well, they won the first game. So we'll see how game number 2 goes. Dynasty, then. We got Dynasty again. They're coming all the way from Brazil, actually, one of the 2 teams from Latin America. I'll let you go down their list.
Dynasty, of course, Mr. Kit in that captain position, Tippy, Vestius, Tail69, and Neofolk. So a strong roster right there from Latin America.
Yeah, and again, they've been impressive to watch so far. Well, not only, of course, that part of the game that we watched, but even with the scrimmaging and everything. So with that said, though, I think the players are just about good to go here. Yeah. We are ready. Good luck. Have fun. That is exactly what I typed out right there.
Itching to play. Itching to play.
They are, as they should be, of course, because things are just getting started here with DreamHack Winter. So with that said, you know, the people are still gathering here in the event. I mean, the venue opened, like 3 or 4 hours ago, so there's obviously still going to be a lot of people funneling in, you know, getting their computers set up, you know, walking around, getting comfortable. But as time goes on, I'm sure it's all just going to start picking up, and it's going to get really, really awesome in this even whole venue. So can't wait for that to start picking up. But looks like game number 2 has officially started. So, Trev, are we ready?
I'm ready. We're ready.
We're ready. Let's go ahead, jump into game number 2, Trademark Esports taking on Dynasty here, and what should be pretty epic. So here we are in this 2-game series. Of course, Trademark is up 1-0. Again, 2-game series. Also, no matter what happens here, this will be the final game. But if you're Dynasty, you want to at least finish 1-1 here against tdM to you know, be in a comfortable spot. But there we go, starting things off. As far as the blind bands go, we have Glacius and Parasite, and then Ophelia and Parasite taking care of my Dynasty. So Parasite overlapping right there.
Yeah.
Ain't going to see that Parasite.
Not going to see Parasite, not this time. Glacius, kind of an interesting blind band. I don't think I've ever seen Glacius a blind band.
Yeah,
so it's kind of interesting. Ophelia, of course, I've seen that blind band a whole lot, and it's done by Mr. Kit. They did pick him up last game. Of course, they are in second position now, though. Yeah. And look at that already, though. Mina's locking up that Demented Shaman. Now, when we talk about this tanky, healy kind of metagame thing, if it is shifting to this, I don't know if it is, but we'll have to wait and see. We're seeing a lot more of it. I always thought that the biggest problem was those healers, not necessarily the tanks.
Yeah.
And Demented Shaman is like the best healer. Now, I've always said, too, I don't really like Demented Shaman in a support role, but if you're doing this kind of strategy, we're just massively pushing, grouping up as 5 all the time, then it's honestly not that bad. So.
Yeah. Yeah, good point to bring up, you know, when it comes down to especially Demented Shaman. I agree with you. I mean, when you think healers in the game, I think Demented Shaman really has to be considered the most powerful, honestly. I mean, sure, you got players or heroes like Jerizaiah, Nymphora, even Accursed to an extent, but Demented Shaman just seems so powerful, and especially, you know, if you are forming that push-style lineup, of course, the Healing Wave is great synergy with that. So, as far as the locks finishing up here, though, of course, the Illuna Tempest, then into the Fade and Nymphora, actually, very powerful combination even right there. But Deadwood is actually going to be the final lock coming out from Dynasty. Mr. Kid, of course, their captain. Now, Deadwood, you know, Vote, obviously, they like to play Deadwood a lot lately, and they even locked him at least in one of the games against Complexity from whatever call. But locked here with a final lock for Dynasty, so maybe they got something in mind as far as Zephyr goes. I will say, if we are going to see a Zephyr, well, as far as Deadwood goes, but if we are going to see Zephyr, Deadwood can actually be pretty powerful against the Zephyr. So maybe that's somewhat of an answer there.
I didn't even think about
Zephyr,
that. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. And I do want to say, actually, though, Complexity, if you remember, they actually banned out Deadwood at Game 2 against Team Gary Johnson. So if they even were going to go for a Zephyr pick right there, which they did, they obviously didn't have the Deadwood to counter that. But I did want to mention one more thing, too, as another hero that tdM has used, I have heard, I haven't seen it, but I've heard, was Rhapsody.
Oh,
They've been using Rhapsody
I heard that.
with Zephyr. And it's a strong lane, especially in mid if you do decide to go dual lane mid. But then I actually heard, and this is just hearsay, but that Rhapsody went for a first item blink and just blinked in and ulted at a pristine time. And apparently it worked out really well. I don't think it really works, but
that's interesting.
I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there for all the people listening in.
Yeah, no, that's again, that goes to the idea that I'm sure we're going to see some very interesting strategies throughout this event. We've already seen a bit only 3 games in, and we're bound to see more. And I definitely had heard about Rhapsody. I didn't know about the portal key idea, but when you think about Rhapsody Zephyr, I mean, not only you got of course her disco floor, whatever it's called, the disco inferno, I believe. You got her staccato stun, very powerful. But that third ability. Now, when we did see Rhapsody, even when we saw her, I always thought that was underrated. But when you think about it, especially paired up with a hero like Zephyr, who's a lot about magic damage over time, having that third ability, well, I'm trying to find it right now to give a better show of it. But anyways, having that third ability, which is called the Arcane Hymn, there we go. The magic armor penetration, as well as basically a magic lifesteal on top of that, can synergize very well with a hero like that. But anyways, that's all theory crafting. We'll see if we ever end up getting that. But Tundra, Keeper of the Forest, Pebbles, Wild Soul, Plague Hunter, and Balfagor actually banned by Dynasty there. So speaking of push, Balfagor definitely fits that. Silhouette going to be the first pick though, coming out here from tdM.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me one bit. I know. Ooh, okay. Now talking about surprising picks, a first pick. I guess not really first pick, but it is for Dynasty on their side. First pick Vindicator and then Bubbles. I have no problem with the Bubbles, but Vindicator, I don't know. That's kind of interesting. I feel like he's just a little weak at this metagame. I'm not going to lie. I feel like he dies way too easily. I think since they've reworked him, I don't actually like him.
Yeah.
I actually liked the old Vindicator a little bit more, but he does spam out with his Q. It doesn't really do that much damage, and it does steal their int, but that's kind of like just a charity buff.
Yeah.
But the first pick for tdM being that Silhouette, no question right there. They love to run Silhouette, especially as a short lane solo. Noobg getting those Ghost Marchers up nice and early. But yeah, the Vindicator Bubbles, pretty interesting.
Well, yeah, Vindicator, we did back when it seemed like a lot of lineups were around, a lot of AoE synergy, as Wretched Egg Legionnaire, by the way, are the follow-up picks from tdM. We had your Soul Stealer, we had your Behemoth picked up in so many games. Vindicator was so powerful in those lineups simply because he was the perfect counter in that sense, where as soon as initiation started, all of a sudden you press that, or as soon as you initiate, you press that R, and they're all silenced because of the global silence, and it's a very effective tool. But you're right what you're saying there. After the rework, we really haven't seen a Vindicator, especially after the rework, so I'm very curious now to see how Dynasty decides to run it. But we're moving on here. We got Warbeast, the final pick. Fade, the first pick of the lock pool, coming out for tdM. And we'll see how Dynasty finishes off here. But already plenty of interesting things to talk about here.
Yeah, the Warbeast. I love Warbeast in general. I don't think you have to draft a Warbeast according to, well, they have this, they have that. They have an aggressive jungler, they have this. Maybe against a Parasite it could be pretty annoying, but obviously both teams don't even want to deal with Parasite because they both blind banned him.
Yeah.
But the Fade picked up right here, that tells me probably Wretched Hag Suicide. Now, I'm never a fan of Wretched Hag Suicide, but I actually do know that tdM has been running Wretched Hag as a Suicide quite often lately.
Yeah.
Zai does play a fantastic Suicide role, and playing that Wretched Hag, he'll do no different. But there we go. We have the double jungle, so to speak, from Warbeast Tempest. Obviously, Tempest probably going to be the Suicide role. Again, another thing I just really don't like that much, but it can be utilized. It can be effective. The only thing is it's probably going to be against a a short lane solo Silhouette, which will do fantastically against a Suicide Tempest.
Oh, yes. Yes, Will, as we have seen that matchup, from time to time, a really popular one. And, yeah, to say the least, Silhouette has a very good time in that matchup. So, yeah, Dynasty, when it comes to the lanes, things could get pretty interesting here as far as their setup goes, especially against tdM. I'm a lot more certain about what we're expecting to see out of tdM coming out here. What's that?
He's not going to use Brazil Bubbles. What?
That is true, actually. Tell me disappointing here, seriously. No, but anyways, that is pretty funny. We do see right now, of course, going out to the lanes. But again, it goes back to this Vindicator. Going to be played by Mr. Kit this game. So, speaking of that rework, now that we're in the game, a little bit of a downtime here, but the rework happened. It made him a lot more of a carry potential, and it made him even more of a, you have to build him as a carry, do you not? I mean, I don't think the support Vindicator even exists anymore. Or?
Well, I wouldn't say build him as a carry, but for the longest time, if you did run Vindicator, the best way, in my opinion, to build him was a tank. Build him as a tank. And actually, his passive, the thing that if you hit him, it silences you, it actually goes through Shrunken Head. So it's one interesting thing to note. I didn't know it did until it actually happened to me, and I made me rage quit a game. Maybe no, but
Maybe.
I don't know. Just building him as a tank, I think seems to be the best way. But before, obviously, you had the aura, so it seemed a little bit more, I don't know, better on paper. But
yeah.
you can build him as a carry, and what I like to do, at least with this rework of Indy, is build something into like Steam Boots, straight into maybe you do need a little bit of utility with like a push book. So maybe Steam Boots, push book, and then Hellflower would be fine. But even then, you're just, I don't know, you're just so squishy to me. They do have the quote-unquote God comp, which is the Vinny plus Tempest Ultimate, which could be pretty damn cool. But, I mean, look at the map control that tdM's going to have with that Nymphoria Fade combination.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, going back to Vindicator just one more time here before we move on is really that third ability, as you highlighted there, the Glyph of Silence, as it's called. And again, this is an interesting change to it with the passively granting the attack speed as you level it up. And as you said, so now if you attack Vindicator, it'll actually silence you instead of using your abilities around him. I do think, you know, just Vindicator used to be so annoying for both the Sage Azora spam and then also his third ability. It just kept on silence. You could never really combo. And you got heroes over here like Fade, Nymphoria, Legionnaire, even hell, every single hero who can combo their abilities won't have to worry about that with this new Vindicator, of course. So again, just something to keep in mind now that we have this hero. But the game commences, and of course, so we can talk about lanes now as we see them developed. We got Vindicator Aluna going up against your Fade Nymphoria. But look at Nymphoria. I will say this Vindicator Aluna lane, that has a lot of spam potential. It
actually has a lot of spam potential, and it actually should be doing just fine. It's a double range lane against one melee, similar to what we saw against Complexity. They had the Magmus Aluna, but then Aluna had to transition to the bottom lane, so and it just did fine. A couple things to note, too. Warbeast did pull that bottom lane to give a lot of lane position to Tempest, who already has that deny. So he's going to have the lane presence. Can he get the last hits at a tower? That's the question. It's always a little bit more difficult to get those last hits. He's going to miss that one. Oh, no, actually, tower change targets. He's going to hit that one. Okay, he's going to do not too bad. But other thing is Warbeast is going to be in the jungle. Kind of interesting is he actually summoned his wolves outside of the...
Oh, hold on top for a second real quickly. Vindicator might be going down right here for the Bloodlust. No, going to barely survive. Mr. Kit will get away. But Aluna was going to the bottom lane, I guess, to ward here in the bottom side, and they took advantage of that. They saw that she went missing. They went for the jump. Just not enough damage, though, for the kill on Vindicator. He does have 4 minor totems even, so I guess that helps him just enough life to stay alive there.
Yeah. One interesting thing to know I wanted to say was Warbeast summoned his wolves after he pulled that bottom lane outside of his well, so he used an extra clarity right there. Normally, I think you can still time it to where you actually use the wolves to do that thing in the bottom lane and then still go back, regen your mana, and come back, not have to waste any gold on mana potions or anything like that.
Yeah.
One interesting thing is this Hag versus Bubbles lane. Bubbles in the short lane, and Zai doing actually quite well. Okay, it's a little evened out now, but I really do favor Bubbles, especially in his short lane in this situation. But Zai actually is in 10-3 early on. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah. Yeah, not too bad at all. And you said from the beginning, though, Zai is just, he really is a great player, especially when it comes to that suicide role. And a quick note on that again, I believe he is our youngest player here. I think he's only 15 years old, so a very young player, but obviously knows what he's doing when it comes to playing the game itself. So yeah, the Bubbles versus Hag up here, as you put it, not doing too shabby. Look at the bottom lane. Look at Silhouette even past the tower, just going at the creep wave. Going to start falling back now, but Silhouette clearly having a great time down here, even as you would expect against Tempest, of course. Already had 285 gold per minute. This middle lane, though, we're having level 3s hit, and that's where you can expect some good action to happen. And we've already had a bit, but maybe even the possible Bloodlust kill going to be coming out shortly here because of that. Yeah,
Limp taking a lot of harass, gets the stone out. The Zeal Stone comes with onto Insania, onto that Tippy playing that Luna. But yeah, Luna's doing a really good job harassing that lane out. But in the meantime, it's basically right now jungle versus jungle, who can farm faster. And I don't know, Warbeast and Legionnaire, what kind of build do you think we're going to see on Legionnaire?
Legionnaire, Whispering Helm, Plated Greaves. You know, into the Insanitarius, because that's, no. As far as what kind of build we're going to see in Legionnaire, I mean, you would figure, you know, the early on Portal Key could be very effective, as always, here for the Legion team. Having that initiation tool can be pretty powerful, but we'll probably see the Helm of the Black Legion first into that. Maybe even Steam and Ghost Punches, whatever he prefers. But middle lane, Aluna will fall right there. So Fade and then for a combo down. Is Vindicator going to get a turnaround? No, he will not. He gets blocked up there at the last second, but he still may get a kill when it's all said and done. N4 using the Grace and then trying to get away. The uphill, the final attack, it's not going to miss. It will connect, and at least it ends up being a 1-for-1 exchange. So well played right there to get the Bloodlust kill, but at least Mr. Kit got to kill himself.
That was well played, actually, by Mr. Kid himself. A lot of players could get frustrated right there. He did get kind of caught up in the creeps and would just maybe get a little bit tunnel vision and just try to chase him. Maybe I can have a spam in a little bit. I want to chase him, get the kill, but he turned around immediately and secured that kill on him for us. So good job by him.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and again, Vindicator, it's especially with after that rework, it's been a long time now, really has, but he just, he isn't really a hero we see at all in the competitive scene, maybe because of that, maybe not, but, so I'm very curious to see, what he brings to the table as far as a farm that he will get, like you said, build a more of the tanky build or maybe more of a damage dealer, perhaps a Hellflower. We'll see. Vindicator going to get a jump right here. This is Sealson on top of the Burning Shadows. Yelunastan trying to maybe counter them a little bit, and again, Vindicator will barely survive right there. The final auto attack. Meanwhile, at the bottom lane, look at Noob G, how far he was, nearly the secondary tower. He takes out Tempest right there, and now he'll just continue to farm. So obviously watching the middle action, Vindicator barely living. But Noob G doing work down here at the bottom lane.
Yeah, a number of things. He was really out of position, Vindy. I mean, I can't believe he lived there. But then another thing, Aluna had the haste rune. I feel like he could have manned up, actually, and gotten a very easy kill on that fade right there, but chose not to, and maybe he just didn't know the cooldowns were up and didn't time it in his head well enough. I'm not quite sure. But, yeah bottom lane, that's just why I hate Suicide Tempest. Now, yeah, he has the lane position. That's all fine and dandy, but he only has 7 CS. When you're at the tower constantly like that, it's a little bit more difficult to get those last hits.
Yeah.
And when you see Suicide Tempest, it's very obvious because you already have another jungler in War Beast, so you can set up your lanes appropriately if you're TDM. You can just throw that silhouette down there. You don't need a dual lane, and it's just very easy for Noob G down here.
How about the side lane? So Zion with that bottle build, even the bottle on top of the Ring of the Teacher.
For who?
Side lane Hag. Going the bottle.
I think bottle and side lane is just fine, especially I've seen Bubbles versus Hag matchups all the time, and it usually seems to be whoever gets the bottle fastest wins, just simply because you're constantly spamming each other out.
Oh, middle lane, the turnaround. Look at the turnaround potential, actually. It seemed like Vindicator may have been in trouble, but all of a sudden, Fade dropped about to a third of his life right there. So, Vindicator and Aluna, again, making a statement there that they're not going to let it be an easy time for this combination, and they got some power themselves, so they end up falling back, and once again, we see both sides staying alive right there. There's been a lot of back and forth, but yeah, going back to this bottom lane, we see Noob G taking some stun there for the Glacial Blast, taking a bit of harassment from the minions, but the minions going to wear off right there, and the Tempest will have to fall back, but as soon as that happens, Noob G goes right back in, starts applying some auto attacks. Now, Bubbles does port down here. Of course, he is level 6, has that kill field ready to go. Doesn't look like he's going to get an opportunity, though. That was an illusion for Aluna. I thought he may have been going down there, but just an illusion. Sending him to scout out. But it's a failed gank attempt, unfortunately, at the bottom lane for Dynasty. Yeah, actually, it's a couple of things. I mean, Zai up top, he wanted to secure that rune up top, but he was missing out a lot of farm because Bubbles just simply wasn't there. And as a result, Bubbles is still trying to maybe do something in the mid lane. Actually, Insania gets caught right here. Gets the stun on the Vindicator, though. He's got a little bit more HP. Here's the charge coming out from... well, that blue player. Oh! He actually misses his call right there. I don't know if this is going to matter. He gets it right. No, he juked it, actually. And he actually does get on Vindicator. He's running away. Do they have enough spam power or anything? He's not too fast. Tail 69, in the meantime, does pick off that kill onto Insania. And it actually might just be a 1-for-nothing exchange here. Oh, actually, Legionnaire still chasing, though. Great blocking by Aluna right there to buy some time. But now Legionnaire may be in a little bit of trouble. In comes Warbeast with the Hellhounds. Not going to be able to block him, though. Fade off to the side as Bubbles joins back into the party. Fade's about half-life. There goes Warbeast. Holding form activated. And he's going to go nom, nom, nom. All on top of Fade right there. Final auto attack. No, not even going to be enough, actually. Going to go back in. The final auto attack from Tail, actually, on Bubbles will conclude the kill. And a great chase by Dynasty in the end. That was a lot of pursuing from tdM at the same time. They got overzealous themselves, it seemed like, and it did not pay off. But now, to calm things down, though, I mean, meanwhile, Silhouette still just free farming, having a great time here at this bottom lane while that was all happening. So it was great for Dynasty. But you still got to keep Noob G in mind on that Silhouette. Well, to be honest, Silhouette CS isn't exactly all that high. It's only 43. Now, look at Minox's skill build. He has 4 into Whirling Blade. I feel like if he went charge, that would have been completely different. Wow, like, utterly completely different. I don't understand that. It is like more of the farming tool, like if you're in it for the late game, if you're in it for the long haul. But right there, it would have made a complete difference. I never really see a way or reason to level up Whirling Blade, even if you are farming, because I still feel like leveling up charge can actually do a lot of damage when you have stacked creep. So I don't know. I disagree with that. Yeah, great point to bring up, and like you said, though, that really makes a point that my nuts are on Legionnaire, going for more of a maybe a farming to get to that mid game stage and be very useful when it comes to that time. But you know, Legionnaire, he can play fairly aggressive, as we've seen, of course, the Z-Freak most recently playing that for Vote, can be very effective, but choosing to go the Whirling Blade. So we'll see how that works out for him when it's all said and done. Wretched Hack at the top lane, maybe in a little bit of trouble right here. Tempest running in. Will the ultimate? There's a Vindicator ultimate even used. Wow, they wanted to make sure, and they're gonna get it. That was actually a little bit dangerous because they actually used them at the same time. Yeah. If that did not kill Wretched Hack right there, she would have been able to blink away. and survive, and that would have been embarrassing. But they got the kill. That matters.
Oh, man, that would have been pretty embarrassing. Yeah. I actually almost thought, like, oh, my God, it's wearing off. If he gets the blink off, I'm going to facepalm. Oh, my God. A couple things to note is Fade is a little bit under-leveled. I mean, compare that to Vindicator, who's actually 1-0-3, doing quite well, if you ask me. They get a tower push up right there, and they close the gap. tdM's actually still in the lead as far as golden experience goes. Not too much in gold, but Fade really needs that level 6 before she can start going around and doing some ganking, as well as Nymphora.
Now, we've seen Chessie do this from time to time for Complexity, of course, playing War Beast. We see Vestia's picking up a Whispering Helm here. So you've made your points in the past. You don't necessarily think it is the most effective simply because of just a long-ass cooldown. And if the creep dies, then it's like, well, there goes that cooldown. But he is going to be going that route, and if he gets something like a Skeleton King or a Minotaur here, can definitely use that. And it does work out pretty well with him, as we've seen, again, by Chessie. Play for Complexity. So we'll see how Vestius handles it here.
I actually don't think it's that bad here. I think it actually works out a little bit better here. There's not really all that much AoE. You have a little bit of AoE from Wretched Hag and maybe Legionnaire if he gets a blink, but it's not going to be. It's going to be quite some time until he does. So I actually don't think it's that bad, and it's going to be able to catch up to heroes like Wretched Hag if you go up to him with the Skeleton King or something like that. So I actually think it fits a little bit better here in this game.
Yeah, fair enough. So we'll see again. Vestius playing that War Beast. How he manages to take use of that. Blood Chalice picked up on Tempest, by the way. It's passing up the Ring of the Sorcery route, which we always see on Tempest, going the Blood Chalice instead. I mean, what do you make of that?
I don't think it's a bad pickup. Personally, I would get Blood Chalice over Ring of Sorcery every single time, except for the fact that Ring of Sorcery is a really good team item.
Yeah,
like you can give it to your team. That's the reason why you buy it. Otherwise, I would get Blood Chalice every single time. So I think it's a fine pickup. I will say, though, with War Beast, too, early on, when he needs the mana, Ring of Sorcery wouldn't have been bad either.
Yeah. Bottom lane again. Silhouette just pressuring quite a bit. Bubbles was down there, and Silhouette putting in the damage. Noob G falling back in. Typical Ghost Marchers on him as the Sustainer picked up.
Ancients.
As, what about it? Oh, over here, Legionnaire. Wow, sorry. Oh, we do see Legionnaire actually in a little bit of trouble. War Beast Jason has that Minotaur actually using the sun right there. And Legionnaire's going to fall right there. Yes, the Ancients even helping out right there. They get credit for the kill. Dynasty does that is. Faye now in the meantime also dropping. Nice heal bomb coming out from Nymphora at the last second though. And she will survive. Bubble's going to fall down. Faye did end up dying actually as the, what is that ability called? The Brain Drain ability enough from Vindicator right there to get the kill. Now Silhouette chasing down Vindicator will finish her off as, or him off as he does enough auto attack damage. So yeah, that was a very interesting fight right there. Obviously catching that a little bit late, apologize, the camera work, but man, Legionnaire got caught in the Ancients. The Ancients even helped Dynasty get the kill onto him. We saw the Minotaur coming into play from War Beast, to be fair. Yeah. And he actually used it pretty well right there. But Legion team maybe had the advantage in the end.
Well, the involvement early on from the Silhouette right there was devastating. And if someone was to ask Noob G, like, why the hell do you buy Ghost Marchers on every single freaking hero?
Yeah.
He would be like, he would point to that moment right there because it just makes you so mobile in team fights. You're able to get a lot more of extra attacks in. I still don't like it on Silhouette, but that was one of those instances where it's actually very effective.
Yeah. Worked out there, and I like this too. Legionnaire's like, all right, I had a tough time here when I was here, 30 seconds ago. I come back and I just go ahead and clean up the Ancients. So he eventually gets the kills on the Ancients anyways. And Mineout's again a Legionnaire 366 gold per minute now, but that isn't even Tops in the game. Of course, Tops being his teammate on that Silhouette, being played by Noob G, 413. Well on her way to that Nullstone. Once again, going to be joined here at the bottom lane by Bubbles. Not much Tail can do though on Bubbles, other than really shell survey. Nope, he's Song of the Seas just for the creep kill though. Kind of juking him out a little bit. But I keep going back to this Vindicator. I'm very curious to see how Mr. Kid picks up here. 250 gold per minute, not the most impressive by any means, but not too shabby either. His level is not doing too bad, especially mentioning compared to Fade. I mean, still level 7 even. Fade's farm really hasn't been there. He's going to look to jump maybe on a Bubbles here, though. Does have the ulti activated, of course, with the reflection. But unless she gets support, may not be able to pick up Bubbles. As, there's a Shell Serve at 10. Oh, misses the Burning Shadows, though. That's a big-time no-no coming out from Limp right there. And they will not get a kill. As a result of that, in fact, Kelphiel going to be used action on top of that. But Fade is just going to stand there as if, all right, well, that just happened. Top lane in the meantime, actually, War Beast chasing down Wretched Hag. The final attack for the Minotaur. Going to be enough, yes, right there. Well played by Vestius, trapping her in the jungle, and gets the kill.
Yeah, I mean, this War Beast is really going to be the playmaker here for this Hellborn team. And you're talking about Vindicator and what his effect is going to have. Very little, honestly. This is a hero that, yes, you can argue, oh, well, the change helps him farm. It really doesn't. Like, it costs a lot of mana, especially in the mid game that you need. If you want to use your ulti costs 250 mana itself. Yeah. So, and it just really doesn't do that much damage, honestly, to be an effective farming tool. And so you see Vindicators at about this time just start to fall off and not really do that much, in my opinion.
Well, to be fair, I mean, he can start being a hard hitter at the same time. It's, you know, again, I'm talking about more of a late game where you have a Hellflower, maybe even a Sheep Stick.
Oh,
you get that
absolutely.
W leveled up. Yeah, he can become a hard hitter. But, yeah, you're definitely right. I mean, for right now, how much of an ultimate impact is he going to have? Maybe not the greatest. I will say also earlier, though, when she did die to Silhouette, but we did see Silhouette getting silenced over and over again, pounding those auto attacks. And as a result, you know, maybe wasn't able to tree grapple, wasn't able to Death Lotus to guarantee the kill. And that kept her alive for just a little bit longer, but still died in the end.
That's the reason why I think Ghost Marchers was effective in that little exchange.
Yeah, exactly.
It didn't really matter. Yeah, you were silenced, but, you know, no big deal.
Yeah. Well, we do see the Hellborn team somewhat grouping up here at the bottom, or the top lane, I should say. 4 of them are here. We have the Legion side. 3 of them are here. Actually, Kelfin in the background. Now we're going to see some follow-up. Tempest does not have a portal. He's going to have to run over if they want. We see the chase is happening. Nymphora falling back. Warbeast there with the Minotaur. You see the speed burst from everything, and actually the defensive tower is easily going to fall in favor of Dynasty. They point to the bottom lane. It was dropping quickly, but not quick enough. Both Legionnaire and Silhouette, they're going to fall back, and Dynasty will actually defend that tower. So, again, pretty good sequence right there. Now, Fade actually running to both Warbeast and Bubbles. Oh, Bubbles going a bad direction here. That's not the direction he wanted to take. He's going to be jumped. Oh, but a great take cover from Tail right there, and he'll avoid the Burning Shadows. That's the risk you take, opening with an auto attack on Fade from the Invis.
Well, I mean, to be fair, if he didn't open through that, they wouldn't have had the damage to kill him. So he kind of had to, but that was just really well played by Tail69.
Yeah, very good play indeed. So, excellent reaction, and hey, of course, being a Latin American player, as you said, stated earlier, you know they have to play with a lot of latency, high latency on the international.
80 ping.
But this, it's 80 ping. I'm sure they're loving it here, and definitely show that right there, perhaps. But speaking of Indicator, he does have 1,560 gold saved up, so now 1,600 gold saved up, so he's getting up there. Again, going to be curious to see what that first item choice is going to be. Top lane, Bubbles in a lot of trouble. Tail not going to make some big plays right there. He gets taken out by Wretched Hag, as Zai even using that Bat Blast to guarantee the kill. Yeah,
and then look at that. Such an early Nullstone picked up for that Silhouette. And in the meantime, Minuts is farming this bottom lane. He might get gone on right here, but he's pretty damn tanky. He's actually very tanky. And look at his GPM, 400 gold per minute.
Now even going higher because of that tower kill at the top lane. In fact, he's going back in right here. He actually wants his tower kill. He even puts the taunt on all the creeps right there to go for it. Oh, he wants this tower kill. Will he get it? One more auto attack. Oh, it is going to be killed. But at what cost right here for Minuts on Legionnaire. He's putting the charge on the Tempest. Not going to be enough for the kill on him, though. Vindicator chasing, but I think Legionnaire is just way too tanky, and he will be fine. Meanwhile, at the top lane, though, Wretched Hag does get picked off by this Aluna and Warbeast combination. Aluna's dropping, actually, this Haunt. Oh, wow. One more tick maybe, but able to barely stay alive. Fade in the meantime in the middle lane. Not going to pressure the tower too much here. Actually, might. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, tdM still pretty comfortable with where they're at, I'm sure. But you talked about, I mean, this Warbeast actually, Vestius, he is having a fairly large impact. He actually has a Neophytes book. So yeah, possible puzzle box going to be coming up here. Man, he's all about the minions here.
Yeah, and I really feel like Minuts' score 0-1 and 0 doesn't really reflect how much he's done so far in this game. He did miss out that kill, and it was kind of, in my opinion, a little bit of a questionable skill build at first, but it doesn't really matter. He's still having an impact. He's pushing out these lanes. He's getting farm. He now has, oh wow, triple stack Ancients right there at his disclosure, and he's going to have that portal key right now. And it's going to be really, really effective, especially against Bubbles. Like, if you're a Bubbles player, you got to hate portal key onto Legionnaire.
Yeah, and hasn't purchased it just yet, but as you said, he has 2,400 plus gold saved up. May just finish off the Ancients and then eventually pick it up. Oh, God, need to be careful. Always gets so low right there. But he will survive when it's all said and done.
Oh, yeah.
So,
by the way, no boots on Warbeast. He's going to no boots puzzle box build. So mass minions. I think he has puzzle box. No, just one. Level 1.
Just one. Oh, 2. Wow, he got up to 2. Jeez. Man, he's farming pretty well then. 370 gold per minute. Yeah, Warbeast is definitely up there. Again, compared to both Legionnaire and Silhouette, it's not that level just yet. But Warbeast, it can be a very scary hero. And as you said, mass minions. So we're going to see a good amount of push coming out. But you got to keep in mind that Whispering Helm cooldown. I believe he's used it, I want to say twice now. Yeah, he has 2 Minotaurs with him. Now, so that's the thing, though. If they happen to get caught out in a lot of AoE, in these big team fights, and they just die, then there goes all that cooldown time that you spent on them and investing into those. So, but yeah, if they stay alive, I mean, they could do a lot of work for him. And now on top of the puzzle box, Vestius must have some pretty good micro. I'll say that much, because this could start to get a little bit difficult with all these minions here.
Yeah, if you bind them correctly till after you use your puzzle box, then it's fine. But until you actually activate it and then start binding, well, actually, if you activate it from level 1, it stays out through level 3.
Bottom. Yeah, Vindicator gonna ulti. Oh, the Tempest ultimate actually, and Silhouette maybe turn around. Noob, yes, he will fall. What a turnaround coming out there from Dynasty. big-time plays. Noob G will fall. Meanwhile, back to the middle lane, though. Luna gets caught by the Burning Shadow of the tower. Is going to be denied. Nice deny by Tower. There are bubbles. And the port in from Tempest. Can they turn this around? Warbeast off to the side. Trying to pick up a kill. Yes, he will on one. Legionnaire right there. There's a kill and a fade. And Dynasty making some big plays right here. They're down 1-0 in the series, but they want to take this second game. Nymphora. Oh, Nymphora will barely get out. Bat Blast coming out from Wretched Hag, but Wretched Hag staying in a little bit too long. She's going to port away at the last second. It looks like Zion may survive, but Dynasty hands down winning that fight. Deny right there onto Warbeast. Nymph porting in though with Wretched Hag, and down goes Bubbles. Hag did fall though. Unbelievable. It is now Bitch Ward versus Bitch Ward support. We have a Luna versus Nymphora, and I think Nymphora is going to come out on top. Oh, not going to be enough. And Nymphora will pick up a double tap. Wow, that was a crazy finish there.
They were going in for the big plays, but it kind of backfired a little bit. That was a really funny exchange, but they closed the gold and experience gap, and I got to say, who was this? Vestius, I want to say. Yeah, Vestius on Warbeast is, doing some work. Did his Minotaur die? No. Okay. Didn't he have 2?
He had 2.
Okay, I can't find the other one, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, doing some work, doing lots of damage onto everybody here. And I gotta say, unfortunately, Fate's not able to have the largest impact right now. But once he hits level 11, I'm sure it'll all start to change. You get that longer duration ulti, but closing the gap just a little bit. VTI Dynasty stepping back in.
We said that going into this event, they really have surprised us to an extent. I'm not gonna lie. Before we even got out here, it was a case of, this is a Latin American team. Do they have enough experience to really compete with the top, with your tdM, with your complexity and whatnot? Well, they're showing right here, and what is their both of these teams' first match here for DreamHack Winter 2012. That they are making a statement. Sure, they lost the first game, but game number 2, again, they are behind to an extent when you look at the stats, but they got some signs of life here, and things are looking pretty good in that sense at least. So something I wanted to bring up, Vindicator. How about Vindicator? He does have already 1 Arcana, another 1,700 gold saved up, so I'm guessing a Hellflower is going to be in the works / finished here in the near future, and that will be a great pickup here for Dynasty. So
refresher.
Or there's always a Restoration Stone. You can double ulti. Hey, that's a lot of silence. That's 8 seconds of silence right there. So not bad.
No, he is going to go for the straight Hellflower. Typically, I like to see sometimes Vindicators go for a push book just to give yourself a little bit more survivability. I think in this instance, it's actually quite good because if you get initiation with Kelpfield from Bubbles and then you walk up in Hellflower, like say Wretched Hag, it could be very, very effective. So I think it's a fine pickup right here. Yeah,
so that's going to be huge, of course, for Dynasty. And we'll see how things come together. But you mentioned the 1 Minotaur dying. Not the end of the world. He just still does the other one.
Right.
It's a 30-second cooldown, actually. 32-second cooldown to be exact on his Whispering Helm. So he'll be able to pick up another one, perhaps, if he can find it. So apparently one of the players is having a little bit of issues with his keyboard. That kind of brings up the point now. I haven't mentioned it really yet. But, of course, being at a big LAN event, being here at DreamHack, technical issues such as keyboards and mice and everything. Now, granted, our schedule for this event, actually, let's be honest, it is a lot better than it has been in the past as far as just being nice both on us as casters, as the players. So there's a lot more time for them to set up and then in between their matches. But the big thing is that we actually have 30 computers this time instead of 20 computers, so it allows us for a whole other match to be happening as well. So yeah, it's pretty epic booth. if you happen to be in Sweden, if you're planning to come to DreamHack, definitely come say hi, check us out, guys. Obviously, the people that are here, we're constantly getting there you go. Exactly. Mixing noise out there. We got some great fans here as always, and what is the start to a great weekend that's going to be. So yeah, if you're tuning in at home, hopefully you're enjoying it. Actually, on that note too, there are other streams out there. Obviously, we appreciate that you're tuning into Honcast and everything. But if we're at a break or something, or you maybe have another match in mind, there's a Garena stream, there's a CIS stream. So maybe in a different language, but hey, at least you can watch some Hon action still. If you go to DreamHack.com, all the streams are on there. So definitely take advantage of that
and learn a new language, maybe.
There you go.
Who needs Rosetta Stone?
you got Russian casters to learn off of. Learn some Russian there.
There you go. Privyet.
Yeah, you're Russian. You say that. Every time the word Russia is brought up, you just say that.
I know like 4 phrases. I just kind of put them all together, so it makes me sound like I know Russian, but I don't. Really.
Have you talked to Cats Gaming yet?
I did actually last night. They taught me just a little bit.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
All right. It looks like Tippy is good to go. It's getting that issue figured out. And going to be resuming back into what is, again, game number 2. So here we go. Coming out of the pause break now. Obviously, no action going to be commencing here in the near future. But you look at Wretched Hag. She also has the Arcana herself. So you mentioned, obviously, we talked about that Nullstone early on in Silhouette.
Yeah.
Has another 2,100 gold saved up. So we'll see obviously where Nugia, and well, there we go. He's sitting right next to the side shop, purchases the portal key as soon as he has enough gold for it.
It seems just like the best pickup to me, honestly. That's what I like to go. I think portal key is a necessity on a hero like Silhouette. And what do you know? Initiate's already on the Vindicator, doing a lot of damage, but there's a response coming out from Tempest. The Nullstone blocks the Glacial Blast, however, and it looks like it just might be, oh, nothing actually, because Silhouette does pour it out. So good idea, but good response coming out from Tempest.
Yeah, you see the illusion going to be picked off right there, so caught the tail end of that. My camera's again freaking out, still trying to get used to
the tail end of that?
Ah, tails on bubbles. Anyways, Warbeast is in the jungle. He actually does pick up his, I believe that's another Minotaur. Yeah, he has a cooldown again, so he has a second Minotaur. He is actually going up top. Now, if he can get a stun here from the Minotaur, now we do see that the Noob G actually does pick up a kill on a Tippy down there. We didn't see it, but we read it in the text. Luna got picked off, and I'm sure it's pretty easy to tell what happened. The quick portal key in. I was watching Warbeast, though, trying to maybe jump Wretched Hag. But, of course, Hag with that blank, able to easily get away. But there's a second Arcana on Vindicator, so Hellflower is going to be coming up shortly here.
Now, I know that Luna's a squishy support hero, but just the fact that Silhouette killed her that fast was pretty scary. And once Silhouette goes for a shield breaker, which I do expect her to do so, it's going to crush through not only just heroes like Luna, but, I mean, Vindicator's going to drop instantly. Even Warbeast is going to drop instantly. He doesn't have that much armor, and yes, he does have, obviously, his ulti to get away. Still doesn't have boots, by the way. But this Silhouette is just going to be a huge physical damage dealer. We haven't even talked about really that much, at least lately. Legionnaire, been a little bit quiet lately, just farming like a boss, man. I mean, 412 gold per minute still.
You look at his stats, though. I mean, he brought this up earlier. Maybe it doesn't reflect him necessarily, but, I mean, it's 22.5 minutes in. He's 0-2-0. I mean, it has to reflect to a point where he's not really being involved in a sense of actually getting ganks, getting in team fights. I mean, he's already level 14. I think it's safe to say he committed to more of a farming build with the way he skill built, at least earlier on. That, to me, though, that does stand out a little bit to me, that he's 0-2-0 still. So has not been involved in any of the 9 kills just yet. Here we go with the Conqueror attempt actually coming out from Dynasty, by the way.
I still think he's playing this fine. Like, they can play passive. I mean, they will have the late game, no question about it, especially with Nymphora Fade, which have been a little bit quiet themselves, but Silhouette will secure that late game, even against the Warbeast. But yeah, speaking of Warbeast, in the meantime, he does get the kill on the Kongor. Even then, though, look at the Golden Experience lead. It's still 6K. It's been rising and rising ever so slowly, but for tdM. I mean, like a minute ago, or maybe 2 minutes ago, it was like 3K in each category, but they're executing in a way to where they get massive resources all across the map. So they can just simply out-farm Dynasty at this rate.
Yeah, you got to keep in mind, though, I mean, not only Warbeast, but Vindicator is going to start hitting like a truck. He really is, especially from that war card, the battle cry here, coming out from Warbeast on top of that. So Hellflower is going to be finished soon here in the near future, and he was the one that got the Token of Life, by the way. So I think that's definitely a smart choice there, rather than instead of the Warbeast. But Warbeast still doesn't have boots. I still can't get over that. Of course,
still think you should buy them.
Yeah, at least get the red boots. I mean, it's understandable if you even don't want to upgrade them, I guess. But yeah, sure, when you're ulti form, you have haste speed. That's great, but that only lasts so long in cases like this. You know, getting to places initially. It can just help. But
what that means to me is, like, you're going to have to run away from your ultimate, like, 2 or 3 seconds before it ends so that you can be in a safe spot to where your movement speed at, what, 209, 305 can get you away. So, yeah, he still needs the boots. Some counter pushing going on mid, not really going to do that much damage. Top lane, that tower probably will fall, but it looks like we might have initiation onto this Nymphora.
Oh, Nymphora getting picked up, the cup gun up, but what comes right here, Fade turns it around as well as that was Silhouette coming in. Oh my god, the return damage. Till did not see that coming. Well played right there from Trademark Esports, responding to one another. Now, while that was happening, we see the top tower does go down. There was a little bit of still bottom push going on from the Legion side, but not able to get the most out of it. So they're going to fall back now and continue to farm. In fact, Vindicator going over the Anciency, but doesn't have the greatest tool for farming AoE, as you stated earlier. But we do see Fade actually running into some trouble. Warbeast coming in, and Warbeast will finish him off. But Silhouette with the counter as well as in there. Quick res done coming up from Melina. Warbeast trying to run away in that ulti form. Will it be enough? No, when out the Thunder Screen comes out, and it takes him out. Tempest, he thought about using his ultimate right there, but chose not to. Legionnaire running away. Nice mana burn coming out, though. Legionnaire is now out of mana as a result of that. Bat Blast in the background hits a couple of heroes. But Legionnaire will fall, but now Wretched Hag blinking away in some trouble. Tempest sitting about below half-life himself. We do see a port coming in actually from Bubbles. I believe he bought back even. No, he actually just resurrected. But Wretched Hag will fall back and will be fine. So good job from Warbeast, at least, despite dying right there. Still microing the puzzle box minions and being effective for the team.
He lost all his Minotaurs, though. That's going to be a huge hindrance for him. Does he even have it up off cooldown? No, another 27 seconds, so it'll be up when he respawns. But that's the huge deal, and part of this. I don't want to be rude, but I really feel like that strat, it's kind of fun to watch, and he does do a lot of damage. It's kind of quirky and cool and savvy and all of that, but I do feel like it's kind of like an all-in. I really do. I feel like it's not securing the late game with the strategy. And right there, losing those minions actually means quite a lot when you've invested 1,800 gold just to have those minions, really. I mean, the lifesteal is nice, don't get me wrong, but the reason why you get that is for the minions. And he still is going to buy boots. He's going to go for maybe probably a shrunken head with that Mighty Blade pickup.
Oh,
look at that.
Yeah, you saw that. And he gets the Bound Eye killed on top of that. Yeah, that was actually really bad because the Bound Eye, that's 700 gold down the drain right there.
For Fade, who is level 11 with the Codex now.
Yeah.
And another 1,400 gold.
Yeah, that's true. She put the Codex on. Yeah, level 1
actually, Nymphora is out leveling the Fade. I just think that's kind of funny.
That is pretty hilarious, actually. Now, not too often you see a Nymphora. It's not like she was playing like a solo Nymphora or anything either. I mean, that was a support Nymphora to Fade. And sure enough, Fade is one level lower. But anyways, Fade is definitely picked up. You mentioned level 11 is kind of that key mark. Has hit that, all being played by Limp, of course, and you talked about the Codex. So yeah, the fact that they don't have a Bound Eye anymore, that's going to hurt them. Now, granted, level 3 Puzzle Box is also pretty powerful against that, obviously. I can spot her despite being invis, but yeah, losing those minions, man, you're so right. I mean, yeah, if he still had all those up, I mean, you could figure he could just group up and even push himself and tower very quickly, but especially with those minions being dead, that takes away a lot. Granted, Puzzle Box level 3 could definitely still do some work. Fade at the bottom lane, a little bit of trouble. In fact, going to be caught by the Glacial Blast here, but they're not going to pursue any further. Oh, actually they are. In comes a Kelpho, but again, he turns around. What are they doing? They're playing so passive here. Bubbles, I guess, just want to stay out of range. Look at Fade going back and forth, trying to trick them a little bit. But in the end, Vindicator will pick up the kill. So very curious play, but I guess Simply Tell just didn't want to get caught by Burning Shadows. So yeah, he just stayed alive, and they got the kill anyways.
Limp hasn't exactly had the greatest game this game. He's 0-5 and 6. He has helped about a little bit. And just the fact that you have a Fade, just the fact that you have a Fade on your team to be able to run around with clear vision, I think is the scariest part, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's why Minus likes him so much. It's just the map control that he provides. But yeah, not having the greatest game, but it doesn't matter. You got Noob G carrying this man, 6-1 and 2, dishing out a lot of damage. Didn't go for that shield breaker, oddly enough, but it's going to have that, what is that right there? The PKB, the Shrunken Head. And
that item you always give your shield approval to?
Yeah. Actually, in this time, I feel like a shield breaker would have been better, but nonetheless, Noob G doing some work.
Yeah, again, he picks up Bubbles, catching the tail end of
Doesn't
that.
even need it.
No Shrunken Head needed there, exactly. Just the damage with the lack of damage items. I want to say that lightly. I mean, again, because Nullstone, Shrunken Head, and Ghost Mark, of course, still provide a decent amount.
Still hitting for 170, too.
Yeah, he's hitting for plenty. Fade here at the bottom lane. He's looking to open. Now, they don't have a Bound Eye, remember, so he's maybe trying to find position and get some support. Oh, if Aluna keeps going, Aluna may be dead right here still. He has a level 1. Oh, they're going to try to pour it out. Aluna's dead. Tippy's like, you asshole. He's going to try to pour it out, though. Unsuccessful, but look at the middle end in the meantime. Actually, Legionnaire and Silhouette pushing. Tempest porting in, though, but the quick portal keys from the Legion players, and they will be fine. Warbeast is chasing. Not going to happen, though. They will deny the tower, however, so making a positive out of a bad situation. But you know what? As much as it's been cool to see Dynasty make some big play, I mean, they definitely have been. This is clearly a team that maybe we did underrate going into this event, but you look at the overall stats still. It's a 10,000 goal lead, nearly a 15,000 experience lead right now for Trademark.
Yeah.
They are in a very comfortable lead here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they can just sit back. Honestly, they have Fade and Nymphora. So it's just going to open up the map for them all the time. They can go on anybody. You can't really ward against Nymphora. It's nearly impossible.
Yeah.
And especially with Fade to instantly give you that clear vision wherever you report. It's arguably better than Fade Pebble. Or, sorry, Fade Pebbles, yeah. Pebbles Nymphora.
Yeah. Now, Vindicator, we are going to start to get an idea of how powerful a Vindicator can be, perhaps. I mean, especially with them being behind like they are. And he's still getting some solid farm. I mean, 383 gold per minute. He has 3,300 gold saved up. So we're also going to see, what item he's going to have next in line following the Hellflower. And that is going to be interesting. But, yeah, whether or not it's going to be enough, probably not. But that's where we honestly, again, we just really don't see much of this hero. We really haven't, especially after the rework. So, like I said, we're going to get some answers here at least. I believe I saw Zai, speaking of fun items, yes, there we go, it's being delivered. A Firebrand just delivered to your Wretched Hag. So your typical Geometer's Bane going to be in the works here.
Maybe
not necessarily. Could
Frostburn?
Be, Frostburn, yeah.
Exactly.
That makes more sense.
And then he's, of course, going to switch it up into the Geometer's Frostwolf Skull. Very, very standard.
Of course.
Anyway, Fade is kind of running around here, of course. Oh, maybe trying to get a kill on the courier, but doesn't get it. He opens up. He actually might be in a little bit of trouble. Nope, he's going to be fine because his team is close by. But, yeah, they can just farm. And you mentioned the Vindicator. The Token of Life has not been used. It was unfortunately wasted, so they weren't able to utilize that. But he really has to buy Shrunken Head. He has 3,900. I'm expecting him to buy it. he's going to need that to actually really do anything. And there you go. The Shrunken Head is up.
Yeah, so good, smart choice there, you can say. You see Luna coming down here to clean up the creep wave, as Trademark Esports will fall back pretty comfortably again. They have that Silhouette, who is a farm, and I want to say Silhouette probably has another item that she hasn't showed us yet. I mean, she has 1,800 gold saved up, but I feel like farming 480 gold per minute, she even has something else on top of that. Maybe not, though, but as you say, you know, maybe that Shieldbreaker, maybe even just straight of Savage Mace could be possibilities coming out from Noob G here, playing that Silhouette. So, Nymphora, obviously, she's what you always got to constantly worry about her. But actually, look at Warbeast chasing on the side. There goes the what's up. Oh, but he blocks himself, however. Could not get in there. But still, look at the damage once he finally gets next to Wretched Hag. She just melted away. Having bubbles there, of course, helped. But that was pretty ridiculous. But you got to be careful about that. Blocking himself. Meanwhile, at the bottom lane, Vindicator in a lot of trouble actually being chased down. Puts the Brain Drain on, trying to stay alive. In comes Fade with the Codex. But now Legionnaire in a little bit of trouble. Will we see a Tempest Hole perhaps to lock them down? Bubbles getting locked down himself. Speaking of lockdown, he will fall. There's a Tempest Ultimate though. Legionnaire actually runs right into it. And Legionnaire will fall when it's all said and done. Yes, he will. Warbeast doing so much damage right here. And Nymphora going down as well. Great catch there by Dynasty. Silhouette was not there. Silhouette was busy pushing the top lane. So sure, a one fight in that sense for Dynasty, but Silhouette still being a boss up top.
I mean, it was good. It's a step in the right direction, but is it enough? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Actually, it was kind of funny because Minus was spinning right there as he was getting locked down. And I don't think he got credit for the kill, but helped out in one.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's just, it's good. That was great for them. It's just not enough. And as they get to the late game, yeah, oh, Warbeast, I don't know when he did. I wasn't really paying attention, but does have boots, so
hey,
kudos to him.
That's the game difference.
You got to wonder if Zai is going to be like, I don't know, we kind of fed a little bit right there. Maybe I should have gone for that Firebrand.
Oh, speaking of Warbeast, actually, he's going to have to ulti for him to get away from Silhouette. Silhouette chasing, though. Oh, what a pick off from Noob G right there. Dynasty, or Vestia specifically, yeah, he figured to go to his jungle, you know, maybe farm some creeps. Little did he expect Silhouette to still be there farming her own creeps, and just picked him off, so well played.
I feel like if Silhouette got a shield breaker right now, it would dish out. It would dish out so much damage. Oh, man. It happens.
It's going to be a long event.
He'll dish out lots of damage with that shield breaker.
To make your point, yes. Yeah, he definitely. Again, that's just how the hero works, so let's be honest. We've seen it for so long. I mean, the Relentless Salvo especially, it just gets absurd on top of, you know, her using her abilities, the attack speed she gets from it, but you put like a shield breaker, a Savage Mace on top of that, it just wrecks faces. There's a reason why she's highly regarded as one of the strongest hard game carries, at least from a range aspect of the game. So we do see the Legion team, though, somewhat kind of grouping up in here. Good counter warding going on, specifically from Insania. Well, I guess more so from Fade. Being played by Limp, had that bound die, able to spot the ward of sight, so good job. Codex is still level 1, has that portal key now, though, so this is more the Fade that you would expect to see as this game has progressed on. So sure, Limp hasn't had the strongest game, I believe he'd even admit that, but he's now in a pretty solid spot, actually, and he will be able to be very, very useful. Vindicator, on the other hand, with that Shrunken Head finish, I don't even think he used it. Yeah, he still hasn't used a cooldown on it yet, so that, again, will be very powerful for him, but yeah, will it be enough? Right now, they're simply just going to need a huge Tempest ultimate. We're going to need to see that God comp come into play right here. Tempest almost had that Shrunken Head that's going to be good for him. But even then, do they have push books on the team? No, they actually don't have push books on the Legion team. So, I mean, it's not over just yet. They are at a very significant disadvantage. But if you get a big Tempest hole and then you time it to where Vindicator ults after that, actually, you could time it right now without the Shrunken Head, the Vindicator ult at the same time, but it's just not nearly as effective. Yeah. But it'll be hard for them, but it's not over just yet. Oh, yeah. It's yeah. You have a Tempest. You're definitely still in a let alone a Vindicator on top of that. We do see Silhouette. Oh, but yeah, Nymphora is porting in. Oh, going to be canceled, though. That was probably the right decision. I mean, there were several Hellborn heroes here that could have easily collapsed if they saw that. So the Legion team, they decided it's best not to port with it. We do see up here, though, actually, that is an illusion Silhouette. But that is a real Fade, and she's right next to Water Revelation. Now she realizes because the creeper, as well as having a bound eye, actually. So she's very aware that there is a Revelation there. So going to fall back and be fine for now. But Dynasty, obviously, this is how they're forced to play with the way this game is going. This is why they are down. You know, this is what happens when you're down. Of course, you're forced to play kind of on your heels, really kind of guessing where the Legion team is, and you're having to constantly protect your base. So that's where, despite Dynasty having some positive signs, it's going to be very, very difficult to make that comeback here. But they will force off. They will force off tdM for now and continue to farm away. But there's the Savage Mace purchase on Silhouette, so yeah, she's going to be hitting hard now. I mean, any kind of damage item. I mentioned Shield Breaker, but it doesn't really matter. Just the fact that she can afford this Savage Mace is going to be great for her. Yeah. And it's going to be dishing out tons of damage. I mean, what more to say? Well, we see Fade is actually wandering around a little bit. I'm hoping to get a lucky pick on somebody, maybe a Luna placing a ward, but not going to happen. We'll instead of fall back, and actually as a team kind of group up around the Ancients. Wretched Hack finishing them off. Really wants that fraud. Nope, straight Geometer's Bane. I was correct the first time. So Wretched Hack going the straight Geos build here.
Pretty standard stuff.
You know.
Pretty standard stuff.
Really standard.
Now, it does work, and it's fantastic against the silence, but
yes.
hey, a Shrunken Head can do the same thing.
Yeah,
and it keeps you out of that silence. Unless, of course, you attack him.
Imagine that. We do see the Hellborn team, again, attempting Kongor, but this time Trademark Esports was a little bit more observant. And they spotted fairly early on, so not going to be happening. Actually, Silhouette says, screw it, I'm going balls to the wall, baby. Jumps on a Bubbles right there, and Bubbles will melt away. Shrunken Head was activated by Silhouette, and now she's going to start falling back. So it is a 5 versus, never mind. Tail bought back immediately. He expected a fight maybe to continue right there, but it did not. But he is bought back, ready to go. We'll see if tdM commits to that push here.
Yeah, well, the thing is, too, maybe they're thinking, oh, he bought back, just back up. But I don't think they need to. Like, they're so much stronger. I don't think they need to really worry about a Bubbles that bought back right there.
Yeah.
But Minus right here, he's going to farm this. He actually is spotted. There was a ward just placed by Tippy that's spotting him, but he realizes it himself. So good, as you would say, presence of mind coming out for, well, blue player.
Great presence of
mind. I have to keep saying blue player. I'm sorry. But I'm going to slip up one time and say something absolutely
you have to check yourself every now and then when you want to say my nuts. It's very safe, yeah. They're going to go back into the Conqueror pit, but again, it seems like tdM is at least wary of something going on. They don't have any vision necessarily in the pit, but they are definitely aware. They're kind of hanging out around it. It looks like the Hellborn side in Dynasty, they're not going to commit to it as a result. Going to start falling back. Fade is invis with that reflection, scouting things out. Is there a bound eye? Yeah, there's a bound eye on a Luna actually. So Fade will need to pay attention to that. But right now, Dynasty going to kind of just chip away at Congo right here. Not going to put anything too much further into that. We do see a possible engagement though. Dynasty is split up for now, so that could have been pretty bad for them. But they fall back before it happens. And actually, tdM will instead go another direction. So not going to see a fight just yet.
Shrunken Head is up on the War Beast. They absolutely have to down Silhouette before she dishes out all that damage. Like, there's no question about it. Yeah. Silhouette has to die. That needs to be the priority.
It's the name of the game. 284 max damage right now for Silhouette. Yeah, hitting like a boss indeed. So, not going to commit once again to a push, although you stated, I mean, you just feel like they are further ahead. They really could if they wanted to, but as we always say, get further ahead. Why the hell not?
Yeah.
You mentioned the Shrunken Head on Warbeast being played by Vestius. He's played a very solid game, and having that Shrunken Head will be huge. But again, is it going to be enough for a difference maker? Maybe not. 1,600 gold though on Vindicator. I want to say he's bought something since then as well.
See, this is why on Warbeast I like just going straight for the late game build.
Yeah.
Because we saw him kind of do the pseudo, like I like to call it a pseudo all-in build with what he did with the puzzle box. But if it fails, you're like, oh crap! Well, now I need to secure the late game. So why didn't he just do that beforehand? I don't know. He needs to get those steam boots up because he needs to hit a little bit faster in his ultimate form. And then on top of that, he needs to, he just needs more items. He is doing a lot for his team, though. I'm sure he's doing the most damage on his team. Let's check that out. Yeah, 14%. And Silhouette's up there at 16% overall.
Yeah, I mean, you got to factor. Instead of the Whispering Helm Puzzle Box level 3, he could have had an easily Demonic Breastplate even as Shieldbreaker level 1 by now. I mean, he could have been a hell of a damage dealer if he went that different route. But as you say, he committed to this style. But
Puzzle Box is great. Like, don't get me wrong. I still think it's fine, and he's using it very effectively. It's also very good against Fade. It's very good against Legionnaire, actually. That mana burn, especially if he does happen to taunt the purple minion, it's very, very devastating to him. Don't get me wrong. It's actually quite good, but as we're getting towards that late game, it's starting to lose its effectiveness just a little bit more.
Dynasty really wants this Conqueror kill, but Trademark Esports, they clearly have again, they don't have necessarily vision on it, but it's when they're not on the map and everything, they got an idea. But actually, Faye thinking about going in right here. We do have initiation, though, in the background. In fact, there's a Vindicator ultimate. Got a lot of Shrunken Heads going off. As Faye's taking a lot of damage from Warbeast, and will fall, but it's also done. Silhouette, though, in the background. The Tempest ultimate, but not going to matter. Silhouette just pounding in so much damage. You said it. They need to take out Silhouette. They did not do that whatsoever. Warbeast will fall. Bubbles ports away. Vindicator does buy back, but is it going to matter? Probably not. This middle lane will be pushed in now by Trademark Esports. Silhouette doing so much damage. Jumps in again on a Vindicator right here. And Vindicator is just going to melt away. Quick tablet. It doesn't matter.
The dead body
just flaps through the air. So Trademark Esports on their way to a possible victory here, it seems like.
35,000 experience lead. I mean, obviously, there is little to concede. GG, well played, probably coming out. There we go. And tdM that take the series 2 games to nothing.
Yeah.
Up 3 points. Congratulations to them.
Yeah, great series. Shout out to applauding at that. And that was definitely a fun series indeed, but Trademark Esports just a little bit too strong for Dynasty. But again, a positive note for this is if you're Dynasty, despite that loss right there, honestly, I still would be encouraged seeing that you could at least, you really can compete with the best of them, such as Trademark Esports. Tough team at that. Of course, Group B as a whole, both groups for that matter, are very difficult.
Yeah.
They definitely have a hard road in front of them. But in a sense, that is encouraging. So we'll see, as this event goes on, what we get out of Dynasty. But for Trademark Esports, they're going to be off to a 1-0 start. And obviously, or 2-0 actually. And obviously going to be very happy with that. So.
I mean, they're looking really good.
Yeah.
And I asked the players at the boot camping, the LAN centers that they were at, like, who the teams are looking really good, like who's been practicing, what kind of cheeky strats have we been seeing. Yeah. And they've all been saying that tdM's been looking really good, looking really scary. So, I'm not to put anything on VTI Dynasty, but when we see these matchups, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they do get past that group stage and to see how they play up against perhaps maybe Complexity, perhaps. Well, of course, in their own group stages, how they play against TD Esports and what have you.
Yeah,
Q Squad.
That's where you got to focus. Again, exactly. You look at Group B. You got Q Squad. You got TT Esports. You got, of course, Trademark Esports as they just played, and then I believe it's so Dynasty, and then it's Team MRR. That's who it is.
Yes.
Yeah, Team MRR rounding it up. So, again, a tough group there, as again both groups really are. But we are going to be having an interview coming up here just shortly. So while we get that set up and everything, again, that's our second series of the day. So Trademark Esports, a 2-0 victory over them. So each team going to play 8 games in total. So the first 2 right there, of course, 2 against each team. And then at the end, the top 2 teams will be moving on to that semifinal stage, which is set to take place on Saturday. You can find the full schedule at DreamHack.com. You can find the broadcast schedule here at HackCast.com, actually. Yeah. So just keep in mind of that, and we got a fun weekend ahead of us. It's already been a blast. I mean, again, we got kicked off with Gary Johnson Complexity. Talk about a great series. Of course, Complexity won that series 2 games to nothing. And here we go, tdM taking out Dynasty 2-0.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a great series so far. But